dun.
Hello.
Dun, dun. Sorry, I was totally into that music.
I just noticed that our intro says Mondays at 10 a.m., so we have to change.
Oh, yes. Well, okay, that's a little glitch we can fix. There's always good glitches to fix.
So welcome, everybody. It is Thursday, April 6th, and we are doing our monthly market update for March.
Yes.
And we're changing our time, right?
We are changing our time. So we're going to come to you now live every Thursday instead of Monday. And instead of 10 a.m., it's 9:30 a.m. We just felt that that would work better for everyone, including ourselves. Hopefully you can join us in future Thursdays.
And who are you, by the way?
Who am I?
Yeah.
That's a question I ask myself every day. I mean, philosophers have been worrying about this question for forever. And yeah, I think therefore I am. I am called Andrew Plank, and I happen to work in real estate in Victoria, BC, and I am licensed with LePage.
Okay, and I'm Jane Johnston. I'm with the Briar Hill Group.
I'm so much more than that, and so are you.
So how was your week?
Good week work-wise. Lots on the go. Hopefully for subject removal on a great little buyer's little condo today or tomorrow. It's due tomorrow. I've got offer on my listings. I got another listing going live. Got one listing. I'm hoping we'll get an offer soon. You know, things are moving. Active out there with buyers. I'm going to be working this long weekend because that's what we do sometimes in real estate. And
yes.
I don't mind, actually. I think it's kind of part of the fun as long as we don't have major plans. So how about you, Jane?
Good. We had a listing. We had 3 listings go live on Monday, which was crazy. And then we had accepted offers from the weekend. So my assistant's like, it was like I had to say, okay, listen, spend the first 2 hours working on the first listing, second 2 hours working on the second listing, and like just separate it so we don't make any mistakes. It's always really hard to do that. And then and we got multiple offers on a listing in Fairfield, so that was good and went over asking. So
okay,
awesome. Good. So shall we get to the show?
I think we should get to the show. Yeah.
Okay. So welcome, everybody. So we're doing our monthly market update for, it says April 5th, but it's April 6th. And our guest is Rochelle Dale from RE/MAX Shuswap.
So why did we bring somebody in from RE/MAX Shuswap, Jane?
Because you know what, her market's just starting to heat up too. And I thought it would be interesting to get a different opinion on what we're seeing, whether or not it's happening elsewhere in BC.
Right.
She's go ahead.
Well, we can get very centered on what's going on in Victoria and think that that's the entire market everywhere, and forget that, you know, other areas may be busier or less busy, and trying to understand what's causing those is really helpful for us to sort of predict the future too. So it's always nice to connect with another agent from another place and hear what they're experiencing. Yeah,
and she's a top-selling agent in RE/MAX in the Shuswap. She's in Salmon Arm, BC, which I actually stopped off on a train ride across Canada in 1981.
Okay.
How old I am. But she's a top producer. She's an award-winning realtor. She got the Chairman's Award last year. So let's bring her in. Welcome, Rochelle.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Well, I just want to say congratulations. You actually look like your picture.
Do I? Well, thank you, Jane.
That's high praise, and you know, I've actually got to update a lot of my pictures because I have a number of them with the beard, but I have some that are probably about 8 years old, which I always said I would never do this, but yeah, I look a lot younger and fitter, and no facial hair, and more hair up top, and people see that and then they see me and they're like, I wouldn't connect you with that photo.
Oh, you look awesome. Don't worry about it.
Well, thanks. But I mean, I will say that my main photo looks like this, but on my website there are definitely older photos. Anyway,
we can tell you're you.
What's that?
So
welcome. Yeah. How is your year going up there?
Well, my years kind of come up with a bang. Extremely busy. I feel like we're back in 2021 for some reason, but we are. I don't know what you're experiencing, but we're experiencing low inventory, and
Mhm.
so we are starting to go back to that multiple offer. We're not seeing all of them, but we're definitely starting to see some multiple offers out there.
Rochelle,
Yeah.
when did you start seeing this happening? Like at what point this year or
I
last
this well last year, last fall, we kind of leveled off, and I would say probably end of January is when we started seeing things heat up here.
year? Right.
Yeah.
I'd say
Really
that's
only happened about 2 weeks ago for
yeah.
here, I find.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I've been hearing stuff and for the last couple of months, but it's definitely heating up more and more here
hmm
overall.
And and here too. I mean, all the realtors in our office, probably for the last, like you said, Jane, at least 3 weeks here, 3 or 4 maybe, where everybody's running.
Mhm.
Which we didn't see that the last half of last year, even though last year was still a good year.
Yeah. Yeah.
I heard a realtor say I did a realtor open house the other day. So those are coming back, which are quite popular. And he's a newer realtor. He's like, I have to write an offer. Oh my God. Like this damn offer. And I'm like, don't say that negative stuff.
That's,
You're
he was
lucky.
upset that he had to write an offer.
Yeah,
I'm
apparently.
confused. Isn't that part of our job?
Yeah, I know. Whatever.
Okay. Okay.
Anyway, okay, let's go over the stats.
Yeah.
I'll do the first set. So I'm comparing the beginning of March to the beginning of April. So we had 66 net unconditional sales in March of the first week. In April, you know what? This was a monthly stat summary here. So 590 sales in March 2023 compared to 833, which was our best March in a long time last year. I'm just going to go with the right hand side there.
Yeah.
1,118 new listings compared to 1,217.
Yeah.
So down 10% approximately. And active listings were up at 1970 compared to 1,063. Now we do have 1,400 realtors, so there's one for everyone.
There's more than one for everyone. So our active listings inventory is definitely almost double last year. Rochelle, you were saying that your inventory is really low. Our inventory, even at 1,970, is still really low. It's just that last year was extremely low.
Really low. Yeah.
So what's interesting though is the number of new listings coming on is, yes, 10% difference, but that's pretty, like, we're seeing good active, number of listings coming on. And our unconditional sales, although lower than 2022, which was a banner year, 590 is not nothing. There's definitely activity happening this year, and it's definitely starting to heat up.
Yeah. So just looking week over week for April and March. In April, we had 290 new listings. In March, we had 231. So definitely a little uptick in the number of listings. Pendings were at 177. So ratio wise, we're doing well. In March, they were at 108. So definitely a more active market and price decreases. This is what amazed me, 91. So that's compared to 64. So people are realizing if they're not getting the offer, it's time to reduce the price.
They're a lot more quick about it than they have been in different markets where I'm finding people are a lot more realistic around this. I mean, just based on these numbers, it's really clear that people are getting their property on market, and if they're not getting activity in the first couple of weeks or whatever, they're actually a lot more quick to make changes. And I don't know about you, but in the past, I've always found that it can be like pulling teeth to get people to consider a lower price point, even if everything is indicating that's what should be done.
Yeah. What are you finding, Rochelle, in your area?
We definitely have an uptick in listings. I mean, I'm seeing many come on every day. Our price point, what we're doing, I found last year, the first half of last year, when things did change, you couldn't get anybody to do anything. They were stuck at that price. They were going to get the price. Now, you're right. They're realistic. They want to sell. and it makes it easier because they're ahead of the market instead of being way behind.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's this graph with a step down thing that basically if you don't price it accurately, you're gonna lose out in the long run. So it's
Yeah.
it's a good
Yeah,
thing.
you're going to follow it down, right? Yeah.
Okay, Andrew, you want to explain this one? This is sort of the same data,
This
right?
is the same data, just using, the speedometers. So we've got here, and this is using the Greater Victoria data set, and just does a bit of a different metrics. 554. This is for the month of March. 554 closed properties, 967 listed, 87 expired, 554 pending. So the numbers are a little bit different, but that's because it's pulling from a bit of a different data set. Interesting, the average list price is 958,594. The average closed price was 942,230, 321. So just slightly under, but not significantly under. We had 550. Yeah, so you can again see that these expireds and pendings. Down, units are down over the same period last year, 34%. In terms of closed, the number of properties listed are up 4.3% over last year. The number of expired listings up 157% over last year. And again, nothing was expiring last year because everything was selling so quickly at this time. Next month, it'll be interesting because that's about where we started to hit the cliff and things started to fall apart.
Right.
So we'll start to see a big change in these stats. But and the number of pendings, the properties that were went unconditional, they're down 34% over last year.
Which is not surprising considering last year was 100. What is it? 1 to 12 or 10 to 12?
Yeah.
10 listings, 12 sales. Okay, what about this one? I'm just going to make
this is just showing the progress from April 2022 last year to March 2023 this year. And then you've got the darker sort of teal color showing the number of properties listed for each month. The line going across is the number of properties going pending in each of those months. The lighter greeny teal was closed, and then the reds were a number of expireds. You can see that there were quite a higher number of expireds last summer, fall, and even in January there was a number, and then those lines are getting thinner as we move forward. Any comments on that, you guys?
Well, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I actually quite like that statistic there. It really shows kind of what's going on. Do you get these right from your board, or are these you're making them?
It's a subscription service I have to optional. You can actually access this yourself. So anybody watching who's a realtor, I'm using the Realty Server system. They have a program or a solution called Exposure. Spelled XPOSURE, and they have a trends section which you can use in CMAs as well as for just monthly information. And this is where this comes from. And on the website, it's actually interactive, so I can change this from units or price points to units and different things, so the metrics will change in real time.
Okay.
Thanks, Unite. I love this. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, this is another one from the exposure system. So this is current and previous year, right?
Current year and previous year. So yeah, this one's a little confusing to me because I guess it must be like from April 2022. In April 2022, there were 1,238, and this I think was the number of listings. And versus 1,370 sales, it would have been April 2021. That's the blue bar. And so you can just run through here and see what the two different years kind of how they compared, and what we're experiencing here. So, and then the lower one on that's just showing you the difference, whether there was up, how they were up or down. So
those are total listings.
You know what? I don't see the header on that. It could be total listings. It could be total pending sales. I don't actually remember. Actually, if we go back a couple, because I can look at that 937. Let's just confirm that. One more. 967 listed. So it's listed. Yeah. That was listed
Yeah.
units that we were looking at.
Yeah, so we're looking at a lower number of listings. So we peaked last spring, and then we had a little bump in the fall, and then we've gone down. It's some of it is seasonal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And you never expect it to all, just line up equally. So
Okay. Well, let's look at this easy to read data. Go ahead.
I'm just curious, we feel we peaked here end of February of 2022, and I see we went down 12 to 14%, and then we've kind of leveled out. Is that what you're seeing?
Yes, you're going to see that coming up, definitely.
Yeah, really clearly in some of these stats that are coming up, for sure.
Yeah, and you actually can see here. So this is 2 years worth of data. So we peaked in February. Price-wise, this is reporting on sales, by the way.
Okay.
So price-wise, the action happened in February, but the sales probably actually closed in March or April. So we went from 1.2 2 years ago to 1.450 in April of 2022, and now we're down to just under. Well, we're about 1.2 again.
Yeah.
I've been saying we're kind of back to 2021 prices, and it's pretty clear that everything that was the gains from 2020, 2022 are just gone. But where we go from here is going to be the interesting question.
Yeah. Okay. So condo apartments, Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. The graph is really smooth over, 2021, 2022, and then it gets towards late 2022, it starts to get a little jangly there. Really clearly, as we always say, December is usually a slow month, which is funny because this is selling prices. Oh, you got a spelling error there and underselling, by the way.
Oh, sorry,
Danielle, on that. But obviously there was a dip in pricing in December, but we often see that just because people tend to not know or be a little bit scared about what's going to happen in the spring. And I think they over anticipate where the market might be going. And at the time there was a lot of pessimism. So people were, I think, trying to sell out before a further drop that they might have been anticipating in the spring. That's kind of what I imagine happens around the deepest, darkest night of winter.
I think this is a policy thing that happened too.
There was some,
the change in policy with allowing rentals, and then the 55 plus, and what's happening. Are we going?
People get flustered and confused, and then they don't want to take action. That's what I've seen over and over again. When there's not a sure path, and people sit back and wait for more clarity. So yeah, that's absolutely also a good point. But yeah, it gets a little jangly, but it's gone up from February to March in terms of price. It's been quite a jump, actually.
Yeah, Rochelle, are you finding that?
Well, I'm not seeing prices go back up yet, but with seeing the multiple offers starting to come in, and the good inventory. I mean, there's always going to be houses out there that aren't desirable, and that's what we saw sell in the craziness. But I'm just finding that we will bump up if we don't get more inventory on the market.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, let's go to townhouses. So we always talk about how jangly these are.
Yeah.
And we see, though, a drop. Obviously, this is seasonal in December, January, and then coming up. There are new townhouses coming up. There seem to be a very popular product now because they allow for an increased in density without really changing lifestyle.
Yeah, and it's a price point that is more affordable than a single-family home, which is in Victoria gotten really unaffordable for people starting out and young families. So it is a stepping stone product. And with COVID, there were a lot of people who just needed to get out of their condos and have some more space and maybe have a patio or a backyard or a walkout. And townhouse, provides that as the stepping stone into single family, where you might not be able to make that jump otherwise.
Yeah, so we went from 700,000 2 years ago up to a peak of 950 last spring, and then we've come back down. So we're around the 750 to 800 price range now. Okay, I like this format better, by the way. Okay, Andrew, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So here we really see the seasonality again, and we see again the line. The line is the that's the number of
sales,
and then the bars are the number of new listings coming on that month. So we've got the pending sales versus the new listings, and you can see again 2021 pretty active at the beginning. This is cycling down, low in December. The hump that we always see, we typically see in the spring of new listings and the sales following. The sales started to drop off before the new listings were getting more and more, and the sales were dropping off. And that was kind of showing us that we were starting to hit our peak there, and the market started to fall apart, where we were having more listings coming on than we're selling. Bit of a bump up in sales, interestingly, in October 2022, but then the sales continue to go down, but they are moving back up here again in 2023 and following what I think is going to be a similar pattern that we always see in the spring, is this arc that we saw from January 2022 to July, August 2022. So
we are seeing a lack of inventory though in January and February.
Mm-hmm. We are. It's low, although if you look at January 2022, there was even less listings. January more, and February it kind of averages out between the two. But March we definitely have that bump up, and I know again that there's going to be a lot more listings we're going to see this April. A lot of people talking about listings coming live. Rochelle, what do you think? Are you finding that, is it a slower start to the year for people listing? Are people holding off, or are they?
I mean, that typically here we've got lots of snow, right? So people always want to wait till the snow is gone. I think the ones that did get their properties on early, they're already sold. So we have a tendency here to hold on until Easter, and then everybody brings them on, and then the competition is fierce. So I try to talk my clients into getting it on early and not having all the competition out there. So that's what we do. But typically this time of year, we're going to see a lot of things start popping up.
Okay.
Yeah, I find here people do that too, and what they're trying to do is get their gardens going.
Yeah. And you know when your home and property looks best, and if you've lived there a number of years, and you know when those beautiful flowers are popping through and so on, and that's a great time to have your photos taken and show it at its best.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, sorry, wrong title. I told you there's always one mistake.
I've seen more than one, Jane.
Okay. This is the list to sale ratio, which tells you what kind of a market we're in. So we're actually moving from a balanced market into a seller's market here. This is what this ratio is telling you.
Okay. Sorry. If you go back one, that's pretty much the ratio between these two, this line and these bars.
Yeah.
It's just shown in a different metric where it's taken the ratio between those two pieces of information. We can certainly see, according to this, that we're in a balanced market. We moved into a bit of a buyer's market through last fall, summer, fall, early winter, and we're moving back towards balanced, and probably we'll stick around there. I mean, I don't see us getting back to seller's market.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Andrew hates this graph. I love it. So this is benchmark price. This is based on an ideal home. It's not a real home, but they're looking at the trends over time. So I'll just do it really quickly. So in benchmark price in Greater Victoria was $1,108,100, and that's for March of 2023 compared to March of 2022, where it was $1,234,800. So that is a decrease from last year of 10.3%. So exactly what you were saying, Rochelle.
Yeah.
The core was at $1,236,000 compared to last year, which was $1,387,000. So again, down 10%. And then in the West Shore, we're seeing it also down 8.3%, and the Peninsula down 9.4%. And those the West Shore is at just over $1 million. And Peninsula is at $1,170,000. So I remember when we got into real estate, Andrew, that houses in the Peninsula were not that expensive, and now I'm seeing we're evening out over the city. Hey,
Yeah, I think people are more comfortable. Well, there's more comfortable being a little more distant, I think, because there's a lot more working from home. And the peninsula is a beautiful place with limited room for growth because there's a lot of ALR as well. And I think that it's just a great place to live. I mean, I prefer. I think the peninsula has a lot to offer. So
Yeah.
certainly, it's interesting looking at the condo apartment units. Just how for the West Shore and Peninsula, they've all gone. Everything's gone down here in the changeover last year, but I'm seeing a much smaller change: 5.5% for the West Shore and 2.3% for the Peninsula. So
Yeah. So
um,
people were asking me, like, when is the big dip going to happen? When are we going to? It's already happened, folks.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
And same thing with townhouses. We're looking at 4% over the whole city, except for the peninsula, where we're down 6%. So in Greater Victoria, we're at 748. In the core, which is the 5 main areas downtown, we're at 813,000. West Shore, we're at 678, and Peninsula, we're at 747. So if you're looking for a deal on a row townhouse, you want to go to the West Shore, and there are some new ones that are well priced.
Yeah. And I would say again, these numbers and these percentages are a little harder to really rely on because the number of sales on row townhouses, especially in a place like the Peninsula. I just did a CMA on a townhouse recently out there. There's not a lot of sales, or there's not as many sales as you'd have in the greater area or the core. So that data could definitely be skewed when you see that 6.3%. That could just be an anomaly from a couple of sales.
Are you finding that, Rochelle? Are you finding like the prices over? You've been in real estate a while. Like, how it used to be like this in the city, and then outside. Now it seems to be more flat.
I would say, yeah, I would tend to agree with you. What we're seeing, like in our market right now, is our townhomes and whatnot, especially the ones that don't have the 55 plus rule. They haven't come down because there is none. Like,
Right.
so, but as far as the core, like, Salmon Arm used to be where you would spend the most money, right? And you go out more to the other areas, but those prices are pretty, indicative right straight across the board.
Right.
Interesting.
Do you who is the demographic of people who buy in your area?
Well, it used to be. We used to be semi-retired, retired community. I was actually in a focus group last night, and within the last 5 years, we're really the young people. Like our average age, I think, used to be, I was told, kind of that 55. We're now 48. So we are really changing over the last 5 years, and then COVID just kind of pushed it to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me because, again, I've got 2 young men and sons, 19 and 21. And I don't, when you look at the affordability in Victoria and how people are struggling to make ends meet, just even for rent, that there can't not be a push to the outer areas where things are more affordable. What is your average house price in Shuswap or Salmon Arm?
Well, right now, I was just trying to figure that out in my head because I didn't pull the stats. I haven't even looked at the stats this year yet. And that's terrible, I know, because you're both
maybe just give us an example of like a home that or.
Okay, so a typical or a brand new home, walk up, you're looking at, say, 930,000, brand new, without GST. So by the time you're done, you're still going to be into it for 1.1 million by the time you do everything. A typical bi-level, 1970 bi-level, you're looking anywhere from 560 to 620. I would imagine our house price right now is probably about 560. I would think 570. It used to be, that 630. And that was like last year. So we have, definitely come down.
Right. Interesting.
And so are you finding what about recreational properties?
Well, we saw kind of a stop to that, but now I look on the market. I just listed a waterfront yesterday, and I think I've had 8 showings. I had an offer written, and we're not even taking offers. So we're doing the direction of offers again. So there's not a lot of waterfront out there right now. So I think, and what we're seeing actually a little bit of a shift is Albertans are starting to buy those waterfronts again. And we haven't seen that. So it's always been kind of your Vancouverites and that, the West Coast. But so it's going to be interesting to see. I think a lot of the waterfront specialists, which I'm not, I do a few of them, they think those prices are coming down, but I beg to differ. We just don't see a lot of them out there right now.
What's the list price on one of those?
Well, an older, 100 feet of waterfront with drivable, I've got that at 1.3-ish. So they can range from 1.3 to 3 million, depending on what it is.
It's interesting to me. I mean, hearing the single family home prices of like 70s buy level 560 or 570 or whatever that was, that definitely sounds a lot cheaper than what we've got here. But hearing for new construction or waterfront,
similar.
That's similar, yeah. And it's there's a certain, I guess, it's a different kind of buyer for some of those kinds of properties. It's interesting to hear those kind of numbers and the difference between the two. Or if we don't have as much difference. I mean, yes, you go into the uplands or you go to the waterfront, oceanfront here. That oceanfront here is going to be over 2 million and sometimes 5 or 6 or more. But for you can go to Royal Bay and get a brand new home for 1.2, 1.3. Up on the West Point, they're also up in that kind of price point. It's not that much difference, yeah.
With a view of the highway.
And beautiful view of the highway, and beyond you've got the mountains and the ocean. But,
it is a great long view. Go ahead.
It is a beautiful view.
What, out of curiosity, what would be, just in a typical family neighborhood, I'm not talking the most expensive, what would a lot price be? Just your typical 0.2 or 0.18?
700 to 800.
Okay.
Thousand.
Okay. Yeah. So here you're looking at the lowest being 250, kind of the norm I'd say 280 to maybe 320.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Building costs are so high everywhere, though, it makes it hard to keep the price down on the new construction like you were talking about.
Yeah, I have clients who want to do a build, so it will be, land plus, and I'm just not seeing they're thinking they're going to save money, but they'll get the house they like. But I think that the cost will escalate. It'll just cost them more.
And it will, because I just finished building and I was up 7% over my quote.
Oh,
so yeah. Yeah. And it's just, but I also think that in 10 years, I'm going to say, thank God I built when I did, because I do not see those prices coming down. You'll see fluctuations in lumber and stuff, but that's such a small fraction of a building.
How are you finding getting skilled trades? Because we are really not getting, it's really hard to find. Everybody's so busy, it's hard to get skilled trades right now.
I think here, your builders have their own groups, right, that build for them or do their trade work. So I don't find that. I'm hearing now electricians, some of them are getting laid off. So there's not as much building going on now as there was. But the good builders are still booked solid 2 years out, right? So
same here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sorry for flashing that. Actually, I was trying to to see if I could change the way that it's going to display. Okay, we're coming to the end of our show. So thank you, Rochelle. I really appreciate your perspective. I find, we are in our own little bubble here. It's nice to discuss with people what's going on in their market. So have you enjoyed hanging out with us today?
I loved hanging out with you. I get very nervous when I'm in front of a camera, as my assistant will tell you. It's the least favorite thing in my world. But I do thank you for inviting me on the show.
Well, thank you for showing up. And yeah, you did great. We did great, right?
Yes. How do people get in touch with you, Rochelle?
They can give me a shout at Remax Shuswap, which is my cell number is 250-804-9327, or they can send me a quick email at info@rochelledale.com.
Okay. And that's ROCHELLEGALE.com.
CHELLEGALE.com.
Okay. Awesome. You can also follow her on Instagram at Rochelle.Dale. Rochelle.
Rochelle Dale.
Rochelle
Rochelle Dale. Yes. Thank you.
Okay. No problem. Andrew,
Okay.
how do people reach you?
Yeah, you can reach out. Phone 250-360-6106. Info@andrewplank.com is the email. Andrewplank.com is the website. There's a theme here, you can tell. And then we mix it up a little bit with my Instagram, which is Plank Andrew.
All right. And you guys can reach me. I'm Jay Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun, 250-744-0775. My email is briarhillgroup@gmail.com. And you can visit my website at briarhillgroup.com, or you can go to the Victoria Real Estate Show and see all these and more episodes about what we've been doing in real estate. And if you like what you see, we're going to ask you if you could please like our posts, subscribe to us on YouTube, please comment and share it with your friends, anybody who's looking for real estate in Victoria. All right. Adios. We will see you. Oh my God. We will see you next Thursday at 9:30. Thank you for coming.
Great. Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Nice to meet you guys. Nice to meet you, Rochelle.
Nice to meet you.